Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan.
This year, two friends from Denmark came to Kazakhstan in search of a hunter's luck, Henrik Nielsen and Soren Rahgek. They've got quite a lot of experience in hunting in Europe and Africa, but this is their first time coming for mountain hunting in Kazakhstan.
Howdy. Always a great ride in the mountains here. A little bumpy, but we love it. All we just needed was a cold beer. No.
The two friends had no troubles coming from Ustkamenogorsk to the base camp. 3 hours left before sunset, and the Danish hunters decided to go for a trial hike around the camp. Back at the campsite, they heard the fighting call of 3 wild sheep males. The animals were hiding in the thick-lipped forest, so you couldn't see them, but could hear them well. They had dinner at the hunting base, visited the village sauna, accurized their weapons, and spent the last night in very comfortable conditions.
You see, the houses here are not built for the Vikings.
A real Viking must sleep outside.
Yes, of course.
Without tent.
No problem.
The next day at 6 a.m., the hunters set out on their path. Warm September weather held up in the flatlands, and at the height of 2,000 meters, there was heavy snowfall. Today we're accompanying our guests from Denmark on a hunt for morel deer. They are in luck. It was snowing yesterday, and today the sun is shining. The weather is great. We hope the hunt will be successful for our Danish guests. The men decided to split into 2 groups. Henrik went hunting with the Sherpa Sharikpan, and Soren went along with Maxim and Murat. All the expedition equipment, the tents, sleeping bags, kitchenware, and food was packed inside the korjuns, or horse bags. The travelers were planning to spend no more than 3 days in the mountains. But as hunters say, if you want to make the hunter's fate laugh, make a plan. Things in the mountains go slightly different from what you plan on paper. We came across the morel deer tracks, but judging from the tracks, it's not a big animal. So we'll continue further on and keep searching for a more worthy trophy. Barely after getting to the top of the Jibek ridge, the hunters saw many morel deer. This group had some prospective animals among them. The deer were at the peak of their roaring. The full-grown males were shouting to attract the females. The morel roar sounds more like a loud, high-pitched squeal. Last night there was heavy snowfall. It's over now. Beautiful weather since morning, and the sun is shining brightly. Soren's group went to the Baituma Valley, and Henrik went with Sharikpan to the Bulambai River Valley. Both areas were almost equal in terms of the number of animal population, but the hunters have chosen different tactics in game tracking. The lanky Soren preferred to walk a lot, moving up to 15 kilometers a day. And Henrik with Sharikpan spent long hours observing the slopes through binoculars in the search for the best trophy. Both tactics have their own logic. They both have advantages and disadvantages. Practice tells that a quick look at the slopes covered in forest can show only part of the animals hiding in the thicker vegetation. Often it happens that a suitable animal can be found only during the 2nd or 3rd day of thorough observation. Active movement around also has its advantages by covering much more area, giving greater chances of finding something extraordinary. We came across the tracks of a large morel deer and will try to find it now. On the very first day, Soren noticed a bull that was laying down in the meadows among the trees and daringly tried to sneak up on the animal. There were two females moving around the leader of the harem. Those females were the biggest concern for Soren. He could easily sneak up on the bull that was carelessly relaxing at the meadow, but the females were cautious in protecting the male animal's sleep. Soren waited for over 2 hours for his chance, and finally the females entered the dense forest. Those two went away, and he went inside the forest. Right away, the hunter decided to take advantage of this opportunity. The distance was 750 meters. It's too far for a good shot. He had to shorten the distance down to 300 or 400 meters. We're trying to get as close as possible to the deer. It is resting behind that slope. The main challenge for us now is not to scare it. Using the uneven surface of the terrain and hiding behind the trees, Soren set out on his goal, and he was so disappointed when he saw no one at the meadow where a bull was resting just a moment ago. The morel deer was resting here a few minutes ago. Look, the ground is still warm, you see? The disappointed hunter descended 100 meters down the slope and saw the animal. The morel was 350 meters away from him. There was no time to think, and Soren quickly aimed and pulled the trigger. The heavy sound of the .300 caliber bullet was an undoubtable sign that the hunter's shot hit the target.
Oh, yes, хорошо. Okay.
Oh, got it. Good.
Хороший бык.
7.
Congratulations. Good shot.
Thank you, sir. I gave you a big hug because not every day we shoot a nice.
Good shot. It was that shot. First
Yes.
shot took.
Yes.
First day of hunt.
For Soren, the hunting day was over. His group returned to the base camp. It is important to say that he made the right decision at the right time. It started snowing heavily, and while Soren was in the sauna, his friend Henrik was testing his abilities to cope with the trials of hunting in a snow-covered tent.
28 сентября.
September 28th. One could say hello New Year. The snow is knee-deep and the tent collapsed. But in the morning, when the sun came back out, Henrik was rewarded with an amazing view across the mountain's winter landscape. Fresh snow was covered with tracks of different animals. With his spyglass, he saw at least 10 morel deers, one of which had truly unusual horns. Even at a distance, you could see how massive they are, with 14 long tines. The hunters were amazed with the horn shapes. Getting closer to the animal wasn't that easy. Briefly flashing in the dense forest, the beautiful animal disappeared among the trees. Soon it started snowing again, and the valley sunk into a deep and dense darkness. The fog is making the hunt more difficult. Right now, visibility is around 70 meters, but if it continues like this, we won't be able to see anything at all. There was nothing else for Henrik to do but to go back inside the cold tent and get some restless sleep. The bad weather stayed for 2 more days. The horizon would clear out in the morning for a short while, and the clouds would close up again in 1 hour. On the 4th day, Henrik was desperate and began to get used to the idea that he will have to go back to Denmark without his trophy. This never happened to him before. By reserving a tour in the compact European hunting farms full of game, a hunter can be sure that the organizers will find a way to get a good animal for a good shot. But this place was different.
3 nights freezing.
This morning it was -7 in the tent.
If bad weather lasts for several days, the clothes and sleeping bags get moist, and every night seems to be more extreme than the previous one. Henrik had to admit that if the weather won't change, he will have to return to the base camp on the 5th day. In the morning of day 5, the sun showed up and the valley was lit up by bright sunshine. Ordinary calendars don't work here. We get winter in the evening, spring in the morning, and summer in the daytime. Or it can be the other way around. We have a special climate here. Not only the people, but the animals as well were happy about the good weather. A herd of mountain sheep came out onto the slope. Even a careful giant morel deer couldn't stay away and joined them. Apparently he was very old and resigned from the mating rituals, but yet today some instincts were reawoken. He came out to the opening and began to trumpet with a raspy voice. A young morel deer protecting his harem on the nearest slope responded immediately. The two males started moving towards each other, plowing through the young bushes. From the third side, Henrik and his guides were sneaking up towards them through the thin forest. He managed to get within a distance of 410 meters. The position was not too good for a shot. The morel deer would appear at the opening and disappear among the sparse larches. Henrik did not have time to take a good aim, and the animal changed its position. Finally, the deer paused for a moment in the middle of a small opening. Few seconds were enough for the hunter to get a clear shot.
Yes! Yes! Oh yes!
Good job, you got it. Henrik, good job. Yes, it's down.
Сегодня мы наблюдали интереснейший спектакль.
Today we saw an interesting show. It was a comedy, a tragedy, an epic drama, all at the same time. We occupied good positions for observing on the very top and watched from this height how one of the morel deer was taking care of his harem. Suddenly, another morel showed up. The harem leader rushed towards him and they clashed in a dramatic battle.
Этот морал, хозяин гарема, бросился к нему навстречу, и они сшиблись в драматическом рыцарском поединке.
The hunt is over. Even the well-experienced Rahgek has never seen an animal with horns of this unusual shape before. It looked both like a deer and an elk.
На моих глазах это примерно 16 килограмм.
I think it weighs around 16 kilograms. Let's weigh it again, but I think that I'm right. For thousands of years, the distant ancestors of the modern morel deers and elks dwelled in the Saur flatlands. Thousands of generations have spread the deer and elk populations along different branches of the evolutionary tree, but each of these types still carries 1 millionth part of the DNA from their common ancestor. And now, thousands of years later, the wild game of gene selection led to the resurrection of the prehistorical animal species in the Saur Mountains. Henrik's luck in hunting down such a rare animal was just as rare as the result of this random gene selection.
Вот и закончилось наше путешествие.
This is the end of our journey. We have visited one of the most beautiful places in Kazakhstan. It's time for us to go back, but I'm sure that in a month or two we will come back here.